Real talk, raw faith, stay unfiltered. Welcome back to Echoes Unfiltered. I'm your host, Sam Stratton. Today I have with me another Army vet. His name? Alec. I didn't serve personally with Alec, but Alec had the joy of taking some of my guys that I was in Iraq with for their second deployment in Afghanistan. So we're going to hear a little bit from him today, see what he remembers and what he wants to talk about. Alec, welcome. Thanks for coming on Echoes Unfiltered.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So I guess to start out, why don't you tell me a little bit about who you are and why you decided to join the military?
Well, I think that's kind of the answer to that's probably changed over the years, but 9/11 happened when I was in college, and I decided to finish college, but I knew right then that I was gonna do something in the military. Both of my grandfathers were in World War II. I have an uncle that served in Vietnam. My father never served. That was kind of a weird time for everybody, I think. I don't know. I wasn't there. But and I got in after college. But why I got in, I think 9/11 I knew I was going to. And then when I actually went to the recruiter was when the first waves, were going into Iraq and up to Baghdad. And
Yep. 03?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And, people were coming home injured, wounded, or killed.
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up hiking and hunting and in the Boy Scouts and doing all the things with the stuff. And some of those skills are pretty transferable to being professionally homeless like you are in the military. So it wasn't that, the weapons of mass destruction thing, yeah, okay, that's not good. But it wasn't, for me, it wasn't about, the war on terror thing, yeah, innocent people thing, yeah. But really for me, it was more about, I believe in very strongly about, a lot of what this country was founded on 250 years ago. I know one or two of those things have changed as things do. So not all of them, but for the vast majority of them.
Yep.
And I also thought that I could make a difference and, maybe bring some people home. And if I took a turn, then maybe somebody else wouldn't have to. And maybe in a long shot that it somehow would prevent my own home from being a war-torn country someday, brother.
Yeah. Well, and you hit on something that a lot of people hit on. The impetus, I think, for many people who are in the military around these time frames was 9/11. And 9/11 happened. I happened to already be in the military at that time, but that happened. And your sense of duty, I think, really kicks into high gear when something like happens to your country. A lot of the guys I've talked to from OIF have the same reasonings, and it's understandable. So You said you came from kind of a family of veterans. Did you plan on joining the military while you were growing up, or is it just something that kind of happened after 9/11?
Well, I came from a real small town, and a lot of VFW and Legion stuff, and being with the Boy Scouts. It was still the Boy Scouts back then. We worked with the Legion a lot for parades and stuff like that, and got to know some of those guys in my younger years. And then I think, again, 9/11, I always had a tremendous amount of respect for those people, and seeing my grandfather's march and parades and stuff. But then 9/11, I would guess, I don't know for sure, but it probably united this country a lot like Pearl Harbor did.
I don't think I've seen this country united that much either before or since.
Yep. And that's the thing, right? It's like, I never want another 9/11. I would never, ever wish for that. But I absolutely would wish for the unity and the alignment from 9/12.
Amen. I completely agree with you. when it was okay to hug your flag and to hang it out front. It wasn't a statement about anything political. It was just saying I'm proud of my country, which is I think where it should be.
And old Georgie Porgy, George Bush, like I know he's
GW.
Not. Yeah, I know he's not the perfect president. Okay, but that is one thing that he absolutely nailed, was bringing this country together. Now, you'd probably be critical of a lot of other things, but that's one thing that he did well.
Yeah. I think each president has their good things that they do and their things that we all go, but that's why we have different parties. Now you were an officer when you were in Afghanistan. Did you start out as an officer or did you start off enlisted?
I started off enlisted, so I did 6 years.
Okay, tell me about that.
Well, probably just blissfully ignorant. I went to school to be an engineer. I got a degree in engineering and heard about the engineers in the Army, and
not realizing how different that was.
Yeah, like very little overlap.
Yeah.
And I also didn't know about the shenanigans that recruiters play. Went in very cold, didn't do my research, and I was an end of the month recruit, and the recruiters didn't have any OCS slots at the end of the month. And they're like, well, hey, you're an engineer. We've got these openings and combat engineer units. And I was like, I never heard of combat engineers. What do they do? And they're like, oh, it's great. It's just like infantry, but you get heavy equipment and explosives. So all the machine guns, all the stuff. And I'm like, 23-year-old kid, and I'm like,
they don't tell you the crappy part about being a combat engineer. It's always about you get to play with C4,
Right. But in all actuality, I think it was probably a really good fit for me. I mean, there are obviously downsides that we all know about.
How long were you enlisted before you became an officer?
6 years.
Oh, so you spent some time enlisted. It wasn't just like you went in for a little bit and then jumped over right away.
Yeah, and some of it, like I said, I knew I could tell the recruiter no, right? And I could have held out for that. But part of me, there's actually a couple of generals in my town where I grew up, and I talked to them a lot. They were good friends of my father's, and both of them said the same thing, was that Mustangs made the best officers. So if, generally speaking, I know there's outliers, and I know I wasn't the best officer, but I think generally in life that people who don't understand the details of a task and are not doing the task, you put those two things together, they should not be allowed to have an opinion on how the task is completed.
Spent your 6 years, you became an officer. Was the deployment to Afghanistan your first deployment?
It was. Yep.
Why don't you tell me how you got from officer to Afghanistan?
Well, I got my commission in a unit out of Wausau, Wisconsin. And then because I was prior enlisted, they didn't want me to be an officer there. They wanted me to separate from the Joes that I had served with previously. So I got reassigned to the 411th down in Iowa City, which was a heavy horizontal company. I spent time as the construction plans officer down there, which is actually some engineering type stuff, project management and project planning.
Could actually use your civilian education on that one.
A little bit. I was a mechanical engineer.
Okay.
So, and we always made fun of the civils because, if you can't handle mechanical, you go do civil because they make targets, not weapons. But yeah, it was fun. And I, obviously my heavy junk experience being a equipment operator up at Wausau helped a lot. That even though I was still young enough that everybody just assumes that you're, OCS or from West Point or something like that. You're a butter bar, right? Everybody just assumes you're a private. Right. It'd be like if if a staff sergeant got demoted to private, right? Everybody
Mhm.
just be like, oh, there's a turd private, right? Which, oddly enough, being an officer, playing stupid was something that I embraced, because I fit in with everybody else when I did
Yeah.
that. But it was good. And then I got my own platoon down there. Had a great platoon sergeant, and everybody had their own little platoon office. And I remember my first day as a platoon sergeant, and I walked into the office, the platoon office, and the platoon sergeant, there's a big desk in there and a little desk. And I sat down at the big desk. And he goes, "What are you doing, sir?" And I was like, "Well, this is my desk. I'm the platoon leader." And he goes, "Wrong." He's like, "You sit over there at the little desk, you learn, you watch. When you're ready, you can have this desk. Not until then." Okay, got that? Got it?
That
And
wasn't Dilly, was it?
no,
Oh, okay. I can't see him saying that.
no.
You met your Joes there at that unit, and then how long after you got to that unit did you mobilize?
Well, the 411th, they were asking for volunteers to plus up the 469 out of Dodgeville. Yeah, 469.
It changed so much my last few years there that, yeah, I think you're right, because we were the 397th forever, and then
Right.
469. I got confused.
I get screwed up too because my unit in Wausau turned into the 428, and it used to be Charlie Company 397.
397. That's who we mobilized under when we went to Iraq. We went through Wausau through Charlie.
Yep, I know, because I was an E4 up there when they scalped the company.
You got the unit. It got scalped. And then tell me how it went from there when you got mobilized.
Up at Wausau, that was scalped when I was enlisted, but at the 411th, the 411th never got mobilized when I was there. 469 was asking for volunteers, and me and another guy from Decorah, we left the 411th and volunteered to go with the 469.
Oh, okay.
Well, so I got to the Dodgeville unit, and we got the ranks full, and they decided who was going to be in what platoon and pick kickball teams, and I got Dilly and as a platoon sergeant. And
rock solid.
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously he'd been through Iraq, and he knew the drill. I don't have any major complaints. I mean, I think I wouldn't say that we had the same leadership styles either, but I feel like we found the middle ground on a lot of things.
And they can complement each other when you got two different types of leaders.
Yeah, and I think other platoon sergeants probably would have got their shorts in a knot about maybe me overstepping my bounds as the LT.
That would have been me had I been there.
No.
I was very. This is my lane. That's your lane. Get out of it. That's how I was, and you can ask a lot of people, and that's probably why I butted heads with my LT.
And that's the thing about, it was my first deployment, and if I thought it was important and Dilly didn't, he'd be like, "Okay, like, you want to go wrestle that tiger? Go for it." And at the end of the day, we brought everybody home without significant injury, I guess I'd say. We did have some people get hurt, but everybody made it.
And some of those people have been on this program. You got to Afghanistan. Tell me how things were there. I hear from numerous people that it was a way different type of route clearance operation than we did in Iraq. So why don't you walk me through, as a lieutenant, how that was for you?
Well, obviously I mobbed with a bunch of the people that were with you. Like, all my team leaders were with you. All my squad leaders were with you. So that was the perspective. And I think probably a lot of the MOB training was more geared towards that. But I think, and I don't know because I wasn't in Iraq, the quantity of IEDs that you had there and the quantity of military munitions based IEDs was the major difference. between that and Afghanistan. Afghanistan was a lot of HME, just almost all HME. We'd get military munitions every now and then, landmines and mortars and stuff. Every once in a while, some artillery rounds or something like that, but it was pretty few and far between. But when it's not military munitions, it's a lot less metal.
Yeah.
A little bit
depending
harder
on what
to
they
find.
pack with it.
Right.
I know when I got hit by the 100 pounds that we parked on, it was HME. And people ask me the difference between HME and C4. And the way I explain it is HME is going to be like if I come up and I push you. C4 is going to be like if I come up and I punch you. You know, it's got more of a snap to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
that's the best way I can think of to describe it between the two. I mean, they both suck if you get blown up with them, but.
You're right. You're right. I guess I would take it a step further to put it in perspective is that the difference between a shotgun going off and a high-powered rifle. You know, shotguns boom, and high-powered rifles a crack. And
that's a good one too.
That's related to the burn rate, right? Which we all know from our training.
I think had I parked on 100 pounds of C4, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
I don't know. MRAPs are pretty good, but
I was in an RG-31.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But anyway, we made it. Praise the Lord. It was HME, about 100 pounds, and we all walked away. A little bit dizzy, but we walked away. Did you guys get cracked off on while you were over there?
Yeah. I mean, nothing like what you guys did, but it started out and it was just little like 5-10 pounders, flat tires and stuff like that. You know, people get their bell rung a little bit, and then it was more about the kilometers cleared for our company commander over there. He wanted to set the record for kilometers cleared for whatever reason. I don't know why. But it was a lot of. There's some roads that just look like the surface of Mars. Like if you ever see footage from the Mars rover, you know, it's, this route, it's like 130 clicks and nobody ever drives on it. It's got to just be full of IEDs. And we're doing their map recon. There's no villages. There's no encampments. There's no cities. There's no nothing. And like, they don't go out there because there's nothing out there.
Yeah.
and yeah, we went and cleared the route, and turns out, yeah, I mean, there's not even bushes. Like it was just rocks and sand and just completely barren drift, just nothing. But
from what I've heard, you guys had some equipment that was a lot better than this stuff that we had just even a few years earlier. They really came, like the Huskies, the drivable metal detectors is what I tell people those are. But they had, some of them had arms on them, like a Buffalo. Granted, probably can't dig as much. And then what else? They had GPR on them?
Yep, ground penetrating radar. So we almost always had 2 Huskies with us, which my hat is off to those guys. I don't know how they fit in there with their enormous mineral fortitude, I guess I'll say. Those guys, I can't tell you how much of a difference that it made. They're absolutely they were the eyes of the patrol.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had one with an arm, one with GPR. Then we had the Buffalo, a couple of roller trucks, a couple of gun trucks. Typically we'd roll out with 8 to 10 Vics, all with minimal occupancy, just to minimize risk. Like we didn't want to have 6 people in the truck and have it get hit.
That was a hard lesson learned for us.
Yeah.
After Shannon was killed is when we started lessening our footprint in the vehicles.
Yeah. About 3/4 of a mile from where I'm sitting right now, there's a bridge over the Turkey River that's named the Corporal D. Shannon Bridge.
Really?
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
He lived just up the road from me.
So you're near Guttenberg?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I was on the funeral honors team when he came home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a
So
hard day.
yeah, it was. I wasn't there obviously when it happened, but yeah.
That's one of those times that you just you try to forget, and I did for many years, but then I realized what trying to forget all this stuff was doing to me. You can only push stuff down for so long before it's going to pop.
Yeah, I mean I get that, but some of it you got to let it out and you got to talk about it with, people like this,
Yeah,
people like
absolutely.
you. But sometimes it's just I want to stick it in the foot locker as long as it stays in the foot locker, and I'll get it out when I'm darn good and ready. But as long
Yeah.
as it fits in the foot locker and it stays there, I'm okay with it.
I think soldiers and first responders become very good at compartmentalizing.
Yeah.
You're able to just say, okay, I'm going to take this and forget about that for right now, and I'm going to go do this. But sooner or later, it's going to come out sideways.
I wasn't ever in law enforcement, but I spent time as a firefighter and an EMT, and that's one thing. Some of it's compartmentalizing, I think, and some of it's survival. Like you just learn,
Yeah.
I during the middle of a firefight is not the time to have a moment.
That's when survival mode needs to be survival mode. And you survive. It's after that you can have your little "ooh, that sucked" moment.
Yeah. And I read before I went overseas. I read On Combat and On Killing by Colonel Grossman. Have you read those?
I have not. I think I have it sitting on my bookshelf over there, though.
I would recommend it. He takes and maybe it's just my brain the way it works, but I'd say that he takes a pretty analytical and logical point of view, because somewhere in there he says that writing a book about combat by somebody who's never been is like a virgin telling somebody how sex works.
It makes sense.
Right.
It really does.
But he talks about stress levels, and he talks about before combat, he talks about during combat, he talks about after combat, seasoned veterans, unseasoned, and it really applies, in my mind, it applies to all the emergency services as well as the military. I think the military probably gets the most attention, and law enforcement and first responders don't get enough.
Yeah. A good friend of mine whose wife was also a cop got into some pretty hairy stuff on the job and is doing this type of thing now for officers. Getting them on, getting them to talk, doing a podcast. So you're right. They don't get enough recognition. And I'm glad that there's people like her that are out there, trying to start it, trying to help people.
But that's the thing, that now that some of my veteran buddies that I was overseas with have got into law enforcement, and we get into it with the knuckleheads over there. We got 30 people, and we got all the might of the U.S. military. We got belt fed, we got armor, we can call in air support. Like we can just absolutely. It's total asymmetric warfare. But when you're in law enforcement and you're pulling somebody over and you're all by yourself, ooh.
I will tell you, when I got back from Iraq, I would say I became, for a while, a very complacent law enforcement officer, because I knew after Iraq and after what I had been through in Ramadi, I knew when I pulled somebody over, the worst thing that was probably going to happen is they were going to shoot at me. Their car's not going to blow up when I'm walking. This is not a V-bid. This car is not going to blow up on me. Yeah. So it's just a total different way of thinking.
It is. And the company I worked for, which I shall not be mentioned, it was within probably the first 3 months that I worked there. And there was a customer, huge issue, mad customer, mad dealer. And my boss said, it was like right before Memorial Day or something. Everybody else had vacation planned or something, and I was the FNG. And they're like, hey, we need to send you out to Idaho. Okay. He's, well, I didn't even tell you what it was for. I was like, it's Idaho. Like, I'll go. Well, you're going to be all by yourself. Yeah. So? And he's like, I don't think you understand. Said, okay, tell me about it. And well, the customer's mad, the dealer's mad, you're going to be all by yourself, and it's out in the middle of nowhere. And he's upset and I'm not. And that made him mad. And
Didn't understand it.
because he was upset, that meant I should be upset. Because he was riddled with anxiety, that meant I should be riddled with anxiety. And I just wasn't getting it in his mind.
Yeah.
And he just kept hammering on me. And, you know, a little bit of something came out of that Foot Locker, and I was like, is there going to be anybody shooting at me? Or is there going to be IEDs? He's like, no. And I'm like, I'll be fine.
Then I'll be okay.
Yeah.
The rest is just words.
Yeah. Like, I get a hotel and a warm bed to sleep in and a flush toilet.
Yep.
It's going to be a good day.
And I don't have to eat MREs. It's great.
Yeah. And
yep.
that's the biggest thing. I mean, because if you don't laugh about it, you'll cry about it. And finding that silver lining, I think, and that's another thing that's common with first responders and military people, is the dark humor. Like, we joke about that crap.
Yes, 100%. And I felt guilt, and I still have it, and I try not to have it as much, because at times I'll even feel guilty about it, but I'm like, I'm just saying what everybody else is thinking. And you're doing it to try to lighten the mood, to try to just bring everything out in the open. And I understand now that I can't have that type of humor in the civilian population like I did in the military.
Yeah. Well, even in law enforcement, like, you get into corporate America, and
you're a father, you get it. Even with your kids, like, I spent so much time with my kids, and I'd be like, I told you to do something. Why are you not executing? I don't get this. I told you. Why isn't it done? And then I got to remind myself, okay, they're kids. They're not troops. You can't treat them like troops because they're not.
Yeah.
But if they ever go in the military, they'll be set. They're gonna the drill sergeant's gonna yell at them. They're gonna be like, my dad does worse than that.
Yeah, I think my son was maybe like 6 or 7, and it was a repeat issue where he just wasn't getting it. And I was like, okay, like, NCO's coming out, and we're gonna fix this. Yeah. And I got a bunch of sandbags, and I made him fill sandbags. Totally backfired. He loved it. Thought it was just a hoot.
That sounds like my youngest son would have done the same thing. Oh, I get to go work with dirt and a shovel? Okay.
It was probably a year, and he'd be like, hey, Dad, what are you doing? Nothing. He's like, you want to go fill sandbags? I'm like, oh.
You know, when I got the most ticked about filling sandbags is because they made us in Ramadi for a lot of the time we were there, before you could go into the chow line, you had to fill a sandbag.
Yeah.
So fill a sandbag, tie it off, stack it, then you could go to get chow. And then we'd drive through downtown and see just pallets and loads of sandbags just dumped on the road. And I'm like, why? Why do I fill all these if you're just going to dump them in the road?
Well, and that is part of the military training that I think hardens us and makes us accept things more readily.
Like sweeping the sun off the sidewalk type stuff.
Yeah, or mopping the rain off the parking lot.
Right.
Right. Things like that, where
yeah.
It makes you accustomed to failure or no-win situations.
Yeah.
Right.
And what do you do in those no-win situations? You execute. You just do it.
Right. Right. And that's probably where I failed with my son, because I do love him, is I didn't make him dump the sandbags out and refill them until I was tired of watching him.
Yes. You're going to fill sandbags till I get tired.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing about being in an office environment that is so weird and so hard to adjust, and then every once in a while something will slip out where you can again see the future of what's going to happen, and you can jump to those conclusions and be accurate most of the time. And then something like, oh, play stupid game and win stupid prizes comes out, and all of a sudden they get butthurt.
I think a lot of it's because in the military, it was no pleases, no thank yous, it's just execute. And it's not rude. If I look at my Joes and say, do this, this, and this, I don't have to say please. I don't have to say, oh, could you? No, go do it. Just the way we execute in the military. But you bring that stuff back into the civilian world, and people don't understand as much. So what do you got for me from Afghanistan? You got any good stories from Afghanistan?
Oh, I got lots. Lots and lots.
Well, pick some good ones. And
my first, I don't know if this is a me problem or if this is an Afghanistan problem or what, but it definitely got started over there. which my guts are just messed up. Like, yeah, like stuff just goes right through. And then we had to meet with like village elders and stuff, and eat their food and drink their tea. And
How did that go? Because we didn't have any correspondence. Basically, we didn't have an interpreter with us. We didn't really deal with the public. How did it go when you met with the elders of a community?
well, I guess one of the other things, just before we go to that, don't let me forget, but we had a problem with our interpreters, our terps, our translators, and they were all locals for the most part. I mean, they're local meaning from Afghanistan, and the average annual household income in Afghanistan at the time was $100 a year. So 100
Wow.
US dollars a year. And I think they were paying these interpreters, I don't know, like $2 a day or something like that.
It's good money for them then.
Oh, it's phenomenal money, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have banks and ATMs, and so everything moves as cash over there, right? It's like old school. Well, so they'd be with us for a month, 2, 3, something like that, pile up a bunch of cash, and they're a nuclear family culture. So then they'd take their money home to their families. The knuckleheads would find out who they were. And we lost a lot of interpreters, and that sucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that really sucked. So I just want to give some credit to the Terps. And our last interpreter, we had him for a long time. He actually got stuck over there on the withdrawal, and we found a way to get him out. I mean, we didn't go over there. I didn't personally go over there, but working through the State Department, and there's a lot of other people besides me that were leading that charge. I just got the call to basically, give some, not testimony, but affidavit that he was in fact our terp and served with us and was a good guy. But it was actually what I was getting to. I had 2 guys get hurt that day. One guy got his hand smashed, fingers all broken in one of the hatches of the buffaloes. And then another guy, husky driver, fractured his neck with an IED, again because somebody in the talk was just doing a map recon and sent us down some route without any ISR or anything. And we drove into this place they called it the Taliban Bazaar. And
sounds welcoming.
Right. It was essentially like a Home Depot for terrorists. And we had no idea. And we just drove into it. Got blown up. Husky got blown up. I think our front roller truck got blown up. And then about that time, I got a Blue Force tracker message from the 2-star general in command of RC South telling us to get out of there. We've got 2 blown up vehicles and we need recovery, and we're in this stupid BS village.
So am I thermiting my vehicles and moving out, or what's going on here?
Well, this is also a pattern. It's embarrassing when you have to call Canada for help. The cool thing about calling Canada for help is, like, we have QRF in the US military. They have IRF in the Canadian military, immediate reaction force. So they're like sitting at the gate, engine running, foot on the brake, like ready to party.
Oh, okay. They're ready to go.
Yeah, like right now. And they rolled up with Abrams battle tanks and recovery vehicles and got us out of there.
Always get a warm fuzzy when there's an Abrams around.
Right.
Abrams, Bradley, Cobra, something, F-16, whatever. Always get warm fuzzies when I see our friendlies.
Yeah, it's 120 millimeters. Find out.
Mm-hmm.
And the Canadians also have 2 different rules of engagement where we only had one. Like, they had the hearts and minds rules of engagement, and then as soon as the first round with ill intent went off, it was kill everything. Yeah. So that was kind of neat.
Yeah.
I loved working with the Canadians. We had a lot of fun with the Canadians. But that was another so we had to medevac. I had to medevac 2 guys that day in Blackhawks, and I think it was we got blown up, and then we had to go back a second time into the same spot. And I remember waking up in the back of Dilly's truck, and I was on the cot with an IV, and I was like, "What happened?" Because we got back from the first mission, and I wasn't feeling that great.
Yeah.
Late, the only shade was under a truck, so laid underneath the truck waiting for orders. And next thing I knew, I woke up in Dilly's truck with the air conditioner on and IV bags in me. And I'm like looking around, and all of a sudden I'm like, why is it wet? I'm like, uh-oh. Yep, I did that. I just said like terrible stomach flu. I don't know what. Yeah, and we had the digicams, right? The ACUs. I was so sick, and it didn't even leave a stain when I schmutzed my pants. Like it was just water, just water.
Schmutzed.
You said I had to be
I know,
politically
but
correct.
schmutzed. I never heard the word schmutzed before, but I like it. I might use it.
You're welcome. Like you knew exactly what I was talking about.
I did.
It's the superpower of descriptive language.
Yes. No schmutzing around.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get to where you go to talk to village elders. How does that go down?
Well,
do they know you're coming? You just go knock on their door, or what? I mean,
you just show up.
Yeah.
And you just roll into their village. With I don't know how much you know about the history of Afghanistan and that it's the grave of empires, but some ways it was neat being the first Caucasian people, I'll say, in a generation or more, that were step foot on that land. We got mistaken. I don't know what it is, red hair and blue eyes, but they all thought I was Russian. And that was also really weird because everybody has brown eyes in Afghanistan, and they see somebody with blue eyes and
just different.
Different, but also very affectionate.
Oh, all right. So you were a hit.
Awkward. Yeah. But usually 9 times out of 10, we'd start interacting with the kids. The kids would come out, and we always try to make an effort to have candy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Socialize with them, and, hearts and minds, try to let them know that we're their friends. We're not here to hurt you or anything. And then sometimes the village elders would come out, and we'd talk with them. We'd come out with the interpreter, and be like, tell them who we were. And the battalion gave us business cards, and they're like, yeah, hand these business cards out. Tell them if they see Taliban to give us a call. And I'm like, okay. like everybody's got a cell phone. I mean, some of them did, but But it was down in the Reg Desert, again, pretty like way southern Afghanistan. Very barren, very hot, very flat. And we rolled into a village that was, I would guess, between 30 and 50 people.
Was that average size, 30 to 50 on a village?
It really is very much survival based on like how much water and farmable ground that it support, right?
That makes sense.
You'd see bigger villages and bigger cities near bodies of water and where there was actually dirt that could grow crops.
Just like the United States.
Yep.
Bigger cities near bodies of water.
Yeah, but we rolled in there, and so we're hanging out with the kids, and it's just mud walls and mud huts, and didn't see any bad guys. But we obviously knew that there were some bad actors coming in through Pakistan and other places, and they were on the border, so that would be one of the first stops.
Yeah.
So even though it was kind of out of the way and it was really an insignificant spot, we thought it was worth at least making the talk. And so I'm sitting there with the interpreter, and I hand the village elder the business card with my cell phone number on it, and he goes, "No, we're good." I was like, well, Taliban, bad people, Al Qaeda, whatever. If you see them, a couple of those guys come through here, and start like roughing you up and telling you to do their thing for them, we can help with that. And he said, the interpreter is translating, and The interpreter comes back. He said, "We don't have that problem here. Those people come here, they bother us. We kill them, bury them in desert." And I was like,
Did you often go into villages to talk with elders, or was your mission more of a route clearance type thing?
the interactions was not the primary focus.
Okay.
The primary focus was route clearance. But like I said, it was a lot of times it wasn't nearly as dense as far as IEDs as what you were dealing with.
Yeah.
And the logic or the thought was that if we could possibly make friends with them, maybe it would make our mission easier.
Right.
And I have no idea if it actually worked or not, but that was the intent.
Yeah, I think it's just like any place. It's going to probably work with some people and not work with some others. You do what you can do.
Yep. And I honestly believe that I think our company, but for sure our platoon, that we weren't over there, like I understand the very first missions that went into Iraq, it was in Ramadi and all the other terrible, terrible places that the amount of collateral damage was significant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a later time in the war, and obviously there's some blowback from that type of engagement. So hence, don't do that.
Were you married before you went over?
I was. It was my first marriage. Got married, I don't know, not long before we mobed, and as a lot of people do, and I am part of that statistic that I came home and got divorced.
Yeah.
So that was fun.
Do you think that had a lot to do with how you changed while you were there?
Well, there's definitely other extenuating circumstances at play. I'm not so ignorant to believe that I didn't come back changed.
Mm-hmm.
I know I was different. I do, and I'll accept that. I guess I don't want to go into too many of the details, but I think it was a good thing. It needed to happen. That relationship wasn't gonna continue.
Okay.
It was not sustainable. Even if I hadn't gone to war, probably wasn't the best choice.
Well, my question was leading into kind of how you handled the trauma and the stressors of coming home, and did it affect family life? Did it affect marriage? Did it affect anything like that? And as you said, it probably would have happened anyway, but I'm sure it probably exacerbated the issue.
Oh yeah. So I get home, sleep is elusive. Besides just the time change, the hyper focus, you're on high alert all the time after being in the combat zone. You got to come down. But then the other part was the brotherhood that was gone. It's very, very stark, and it's very sudden and distinct. I
was just going to say that it happens like that when you get back, and it's hard to adjust to.
It is like you're with 29 other dudes, and they're going to keep you alive, and you're going to keep them alive, and all of a sudden you're alone, even though you're back, home where it's safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember one time though. I woke up. We had a house, just a one room. Like there was a bathroom with the door, but everything else was all in one room. It was a bachelor pad that, a starter house, I guess. And I woke up. I was standing in the. I woke and I woke up. I was standing in the middle of the living room, and she was shaking me, and I was looking for my rifle and Sergeant Dilly. I couldn't find Sergeant Dilly, and I was obviously having a nightmare and sleepwalking. And and like, okay, lights are on. Okay, I'm back in Iowa. All right, got it together, and it was like, oh, I think I read about that. Yeah, okay, all right, this is normal, maybe ish.
Yeah, ish.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would sleepwalk personally. Maybe I did. I don't know. But there was definitely dreams that I woke up to, and you know, I remember before I left Iraq, I would dream all the time that I was back home. And then when I got back home, I would dream I was still there. So it's always like wherever you are, you're dreaming you're in the other place. So it until you're awake and can have that reality check of your where you are, it gets a little confusing.
Yeah. And I don't know, like I think it's a journey dealing with it for sure. I have regrets. I have things that I think I could have done better, but in my mind while I was there, I thought about that a lot of I wanted to like ethically and morally and all that stuff, and obviously to take care of my Joes, that I made the right decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And there's definitely some stuff that happened that I'm not happy about, things that I would have done differently. If I was more grown up and mature, I think that gives you perspective, right?
Yeah.
And it's high stress. Everybody's under high stress, right? And everybody deals with it differently. And I'm not immune to that.
When you were going through like having those nightmares and stuff, how did you deal with the stressors and the post traumatic stress? I'm assuming you have it.
Well, yeah. I think anybody who says they don't is probably lying. It just, but it's not a
or completely wired differently.
Yeah. And I also don't think it's a binary switch. It's not like just yes or no. And that's trying to quantify it. I mean, it changes day to day, right?
Mm-hmm.
I tried a lot of different things. Went to the VA, went to counseling, went to Iowa City, saw a neurologist. Told me I probably better not get any more concussions because you can't unscramble an egg.
Yeah.
And tried counseling, tried group therapy, tried medication, which I don't know what the best thing is as far as the official channels.
Yeah.
Unofficially, I think what helped me the most is stuff like this. It's driving. Driving was weird. I remember because like from route clearance, you're driving 3 to 5 kilometers an hour looking
Right.
for wires in the sand, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get home and the speed limit's 55. You're going 60 and you feel like you're re-entering the atmosphere.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember coming home on leave and when my parents and my fiance or girlfriend at the time, my wife now, picked me up. I remember driving onto I-94 and on the entrance, I went down to like 2 miles an hour and I said, this is how fast I travel every day. And then getting on the interstate, I'm like, whoo, why did you let me drive? This isn't right.
Yeah.
I had enough stuff in my brain.
We went to Waterloo for something. We went to a bar in Waterloo when I got home, and we were driving home on Highway 20, and I remember my ex-wife being like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not."
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm just white-knuckled, right?
Yep.
Just hyper-focused. But
I had the exact same conversation when I went to see fireworks for the first time after I got back. Somebody said, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, mm-mm.
Yeah.
I said, had you made that an IED and then put all my guys around me, I'd have been 100% fine. But since I'm here alone, I can't. I know that's just fireworks, but that concussion that you feel every time it goes off. So yeah, it's tearing me up.
Well, so and like I said, it's different for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. So fireworks for me, if I know it's coming, like if I'm the one setting them off,
I'm good if I set them off. Yeah,
all day. Like this is my wheelhouse, right? Somebody sets one off behind me, you better buckle up.
Yep.
Because we're gonna go for a ride.
And I had never thought about this exactly. Somebody I was talking to on one of these said that they equate this to what an IED sounds like, and they said it's like a cooler lid slamming. And I'm like, you know what? It is just that dunk.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I can see that. So you ever get those slamming on you, you'll jump out of your skin.
So at work, we have a 55-gallon barrel. You put rags and oily and greasy rags in with a metal lid. So it's a it's a metal 55-gallon barrel with a metal lid. And those turds, they think it's funny. Yeah, they'll slam that lid. At first, when I got home, I think it was somebody's birthday, and some manager, supervisor, some bigwig, and the admins thought it would be funny to fill his entire office. He had a glass office all by himself, to fill his entire office full of balloons all the way up to the ceiling. It was his birthday, right? Okay, yeah, we all sing happy birthday and have cake, happy birthday. Well, I went back to my desk, which is, cubicles, right? There's walls you can't really see. And now they have all these balloons that they have to dispose of, right? So they decided the best way was for like 3 of them to go in there with little push pins and just pop the balloons as fast as they could. I'm sitting there at my desk, like trying to combat breathe, keep a lid on it. And there's some jackwagon next to me, and he looks at me and he's like, "You having a PTSD flare up over there?" And I'm like, you can just shut up.
Yeah. People don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
They want to laugh about it, joke about it, do whatever about it. Some people. But I deal with it way better now than I did, 15 years ago.
Same.
But it's still there. It's still an outlier.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like you're saying about being with your veteran buddies. So I still get it. I mean, it gets a little better every time, but especially with my wife and kids, when we're out in public with big groups of people, and like I am wound. I am absolutely wound.
Yeah, I'm still not good with big groups.
Yeah, same. Conversely, if I'm with my veteran buddies, it couldn't be more at ease. Like, because
you feel safe.
Yeah, like I don't even know how to describe. And it's more than safe. It's like you have like these Jedi mind powers.
You feel whole. I feel whole when I have those guys around me, because it's like, all right, everything I need is right here now. Nothing against my family, but when you're having those types of moments, that's what you feel like you need. And through these last 20 years, almost 20 years, my wife has become that for me. She's my rock. And she's the one I can lean on. She's the one I can depend on. But it took a long time to get there. It really did.
Yeah. That's one of the other things that's really hard, though, that especially with my first wife, and I absolutely love my second wife. Like, she's mother of my children and great. I can't believe she puts up with me. Because I'm never going to find another one that does.
I feel the same about my wife.
But I think it's not just your spouse, but also your friends, and back to the people you served with. You might share some, right? But you're not going to share everything. And because if you say too much, people look at you like you got a unicorn horn, and then that's kind of, you're like, oh, I've shared too much. I'm never going to do that again, kind of thing.
So I really enjoyed sitting around this last summer. I sat around with Dilly and a bunch of other guys I was in Iraq with, and we just sat around a campfire and told stories, and just, oh, you remember when? Oh, that was, and that was so therapeutic for us. For me, and I know the other guys saying this was great. I'm so glad we did this. So, yeah.
I almost did this outside by a fire pit. Hey, I was going to, but decided better of it. But that's one other thing I was going to tell you, was what I think was the best for me coming home, because it ties in with the whole driving thing, is I have a pretty good commute to work, which I've moved, but somewhere between the places I've lived, it's 45 minutes to an hour one way to get to work.
Okay.
So a lot of seat time, and alone, all by myself. And I know I've been through therapy, like you're distracting yourself from dealing with the real issue. But before Unfiltered came out, I would call my Army buddies, and they'd be getting done with work, I'd be getting done with work, and we'd just, talk for 45 minutes or an hour on my way home. And it was just kind of like just a daily check-in. And it wasn't like we sat there and cried in our beer every day. It was just checking in, right?
Just see how you doing. How did today go?
Yep.
That's what we need.
Yep. It's like, oh, so and so pissed me off at work, and it's like, you know what? Same thing happened to me last week. And yeah, and it's just all it is. But it's weird because people are always like, oh, well, you just like that individual because they were a Marine or because they served, and it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, to some extent, yes, right? Just because they have similar life experiences, but it's not a guarantee. And that's what most people don't understand is, yeah, like when you're overseas, you absolutely trust other people with your life. Like no question about it. Like no gray area. Like I'm trusting you with my life
Yep.
and you're trusting me with yours.
I've told a lot of people I could take the guy in our company that liked me the least, and I'm still pretty sure he would have taken a bullet for me because
Yeah.
that's the type of brotherhood. Your family.
Right. Right. But that's the thing is everybody's different.
Yeah.
So, yep, absolutely trust you with my life in combat. We come home, they say some of those individuals, can I borrow your truck? No. Right? Can and I'm sure there's some of those people that be like, hey, I need you to come over and watch my kids, or vice versa or whatever. They'd be like, I'm not asking LT to come over and watch my kids. No. Right. And I get
Yeah.
it. I get it.
Yep.
The one other thing that I didn't anticipate is, I don't know if you want to call it the burden of command or what, being an officer. And I don't think it's a me thing, because I've talked to other vets where they have like reunions and get-togethers and stuff like that, and almost all of them say like the officers don't show up. And yeah, and I know why. I think I know why. Just because, yeah, there's stuff that comes down from higher and you got to relay it, and a lot of it's stupid, and you're the face of it, right? And there's probably a lot of, I perceive that there's a lot of
Animosity.
That's the big word I was looking for. Yeah, at least.
And you're not alone. I felt the same way about a lot of the guys that I was there with because I was tough, but I was fair. I was not the easiest guy to get along with, and I know that. And I was thinking for a lot of years, a lot of these guys probably can't stand me. But then, we'd go to a reunion or we'd do this, we'd do that, and they'd be like, "Hey, it's so good to see you. How you been?" And I'd be like, "Okay, I didn't expect that, but that's awesome."
Right.
And getting to know some of these Joes that I just knew as, this guy's troop or this guy's troop or one of my troops through these last almost 20 years has been exciting. Some of them just some solid dudes, just some really great dudes.
Yeah, and I think about that a lot. That had the circumstances been different and I wasn't their PL, like we might have actually got along really well. But
yeah, and that happens when it comes with command.
Yeah, it sucks. I have one story that I think is right up is Sergeant Stratton's alley, though, that I think you'd really like. So we had a fresh out of basic private that came with us, and he was in my truck a lot. And we'd go on like 3, 4, 5, 7-day missions. So there's 3 guys in a truck, and you got all your water and MREs and all your stuff you need. Well, we'd leave from from Kandahar Airfield, and it might be an 8 or 9, 10-hour drive to wherever we were getting to our little patrol base or FOB or COP or whatever it was where we were going to be based out of. And he was in the turret, Private Beaver, I'm going to call him because I don't want to say his name. And he went through all of our MREs for the entire week and ate all the pogey bait out of them. All the M&Ms, all the pound cakes, like all the good stuff, ate it all during that trip. And
what?
Yep. And and he didn't even clean up after himself. Like it looked like a raccoon got in a trash can.
There's so little you look forward to out on mission. Just your M&Ms or, please tell me you smoke them.
So, like again, discipline, not supposed to be my lane, right?
You eat on my pony bait, it's now my lane.
Yeah. Well, I went and found his squad leader, Animal Actual Tranberg, Sergeant.
Oh, I know him very well.
Yeah. And I was like, you need to fix this. there needs to be a reckoning because this is unacceptable behavior. And I think he did it for, I don't know if it was like 2 weeks or a month, and he already like had a weight problem. He was out of specs, out of regs, and he made him eat nothing but Cliff Bars and water for 2 weeks.
Tranny's a beast.
Yeah, he is. He is a large human.
He is. We used to joke about his workouts. Why'd you go do the tranny workout today? Because tranny come back with a smile on his face. Everybody else would come back like needing help to walk.
Yeah, we had him lead a lot of our workouts in pre-mob.
He's Sergeant Major now. Proud of that guy.
Holy crap! Good for him.
I always knew he'd make it up there. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a Sergeant Major. Ranky's a first sergeant.
Ranky was great. Him and Tranberg, they were my squad leaders, and
couple of solid individuals.
Yeah, I cannot express enough gratitude to those two. It's unbelievable what they did.
All right, LT, thank you for coming on Echoes Unfiltered today. I really appreciate all the time you took to tell your stories and to tell how life has been since you've gotten home. Now, LT and I may have walked and driven through some different type of sand, but we're all together for the same type of mission. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate what you volunteered to do, going to Afghanistan, and taking the time out to come on to Echoes Unfiltered and give us a little bit of your story.
One other thing I forgot to tell you about that really helped me. I had a neighbor when I got home that was a Vietnam vet. When I met him through the VFW, I got into the VFW when I got home. And he was retired. He was a union pipe fitter, proud Vietnam vet. And he just, buddy checks. He'd just swing in after I got divorced and I was single again. And he'd just stop by. And yep. And he wouldn't even get out of his truck. He'd just roll the window down, and I'd be fixing some farm equipment or doing whatever on a Saturday. And hey, what are you doing? How you doing? So, I'm just, gonna go drive around gravel roads, look for pheasants. Want to come? Sure. Right. And yeah. And like things like that and the phone calls, other buddy checks, especially like his Vietnam perspective, that really helped.
Like LT said, check on your buddies. It's an important thing that we do. Just because we get home doesn't mean we're done. Doesn't mean our mission's over. You check on your Joes, check on your buddies, check on your squad leaders.
Well, I've never done anything like this before, and admittedly, it's a little scary talking about it in such a public forum. But I think it's important, and I really applaud you for having the courage and the strength to do this for people who need it.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep it up. And that was ultimately what drove me to do it, was just because I want to see you be successful. And
I appreciate you, sir. Thank you so much. Well, if you got something out of today's conversation with the LT, here's what I want you to take with you. Different wars, different sand, same brotherhood. Whether you wore the uniform, carried a badge, or you're just trying to understand somebody who did, these stories matter. Not because they're easy, but because they're real. One thing that LT said that really stuck with me, and it should stick with you too: check on your people. The buddy checks don't stop when the deployment ends. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is make that phone call. If you're carrying something heavy today, you know what? You're not alone, and you're not the only one. There are people out there who get it. You don't have to go this alone. If this episode meant something to you, share it with somebody who might need to hear it today. That's how this mission keeps going. If you'd like to know more about my story, you can find my book, Echoes from the Sandbox, now available on Amazon. Real talk, raw faith, stay unfiltered, and God bless. I'll see you on the next one.